Hola, buenas tardes, buenas noches, y buenos días, depending on the twisters. Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, depending where you are at the moment. Sorry to Professor, I am your favorite teacher, your Spanish teacher. And this moment, we're going to be looking at Spanish alphabet. Uh, this is where your Spanish speaking begins. If you are able to get them accurately, so you can pronounce things in Spanish without problem, you will actually know the differences. Because just few things is very easy, like I said. Spanish is fácil. Spanish is very easy, so you will be able to understand. My job right now is to walk you through the alphabet. We're gonna study them, critically, together. If you pay attention at what is you know that in English it's actually A B C D just like you have it. But now in Spanish there are few differences. When you take a look at this, you have basically the same, but I could point out some differences. For example, you have L, which is in English also, but you have double L. So I'm going to point out those ones. Here you have N, you have a which is in your sound. So that means you have another N with something on top of it. Okay, so that's just the difference. But every other one remain the same. But noun is the pronunciation. So that's what we're going to be concentrating. If you look at this, you see ah is not in English, you say a, but this is in Spanish, you have ah. You have bear, bear, bear. Okay, basically point out something else which is here. Okay, so we have some alphabet critically marked. Okay, we have say, we have bear, efe, hair, then archie. We have e, hota, ka, l, and we have double l. When you have double L, it has a different sound. So I'm going to walk through that sound in a while. We have M, N, we have the new sound, we have O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, EQ, Y, Z. Now, the word Y actually does not exist in real time. It only exists while you are pronouncing it alphabetically now. But when you see it in words, in sentences, you don't call it Y. So let's start basically from the beginning and we could give you example. For example, you have ah. We have examples that you can have in ah, like you have alemana, alemana. So you have alemana. Alemana is actually Germany. That's how you pronounce it. Germany in Spanish. Alemana. So when you have Alemana, so you see, my emphasis here is on the ah sound. Ah. For example, you have caro, caro, caro. Ah, ah is the ah sound. Okay. Now here's the trick, which is the most important thing. We have bear. Bear. Basically, in Spanish, there's a cross line here. V, mark. This is where you have V. V is never pronounced in Spanish. Anywhere you see the letter V is pronounced as bear. For example, you have a word like this. In English, you could say that it's veron. Actually, it's not veron. It is beron, which is pronounced as is pronounced like this, Beron, right? So V V does not exist in Spanish. What exists is B. So whenever you see V, you pronounce it as B. Now, the next thing is you have the hair. For example, you have Nigeria. Nigeria, you see? And this is not a formula because it varies, it could change. In some words, some letters, some words, actually, you could have it as pronounced as G, G, G. Now, in many occasions, you will see it as pronounced as hair, like for example, in Nigeria. So you see it as Nigeria. So we have Nigeria. So I'm going to clean in here so that I don't mess up the board. Very important. So that's why I'm trying to clean up so we can have a very clean, space to work with. Okay. The next thing is arch. Arch in real sense does not exist in Spanish. We have it just like you have the letter hotel. Oh, my pen is mixing up. We have hotel. Now, this is hotel. In Spanish, you don't pronounce hotel. No, you say hotel. That means H in Spanish is silent. Isn't that beautiful? H in Spanish is silent. So anywhere you see H in Spanish, in any Spanish word, you don't pronounce it. It's silent. So you now have H. I've given you, for example, hotel. So anywhere H appears, is silent. You don't pronounce it. So, okay, or you see honorable, right? So you don't pronounce the word H is O, it starts from the O. So the same thing that is applicable in this. So you don't have it. You don't have hotel, you have hotel, hotel, hotel. Can you repeat that? Hotel. Okay, now we are making progress. Now we'll come to the next one, which is hota. This is how to write it. This is actually hota, hota, right? Now the word hota, how is it? J is not pronounced as J in Spanish. It's pronounced as H. Are you seeing the differences? This is very simple. Just walk through as I'm walking through it now. So you will understand it very well. J is pronounced as H. It has an H sound. For example, if you permit me, I'm going to clean up a little bit here so that we can make use of this space. Okay, we're going to be sharing this space here. So for clarity purposes, right? We have J, for example, you have this word. An English person could pronounce this as Juan, right? As Juan, right? Now, but it's actually Juan is pronounced as this. Juan. Actually, Juan means John. Is that not beautiful? John, that's what it means. And it's actually pronounced as Juan. Juan. So Juan, anywhere you see J in Spanish, is Juan is pronounced as Jota, which is H. Wedge. Okay, let's get to the next word where you have double L. Anywhere you see double L in Spanish, how is it pronounced? It's actually pronounced as J. 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 For example, you have this word. Okay, I'm gonna clean up. Yeah. We're sharing this space, the little space we have up there. So we have the word, okay? In English, we call this Ella, but it's actually not Ella because we have this double L. So it becomes Eja, Eja, Eja. I'm going to give you another example. So we have the word Daniela, okay? Now, in English, we hear a lot of people pronounce Daniela, which is wrong, right? Once you put double L here, it becomes Danieja, which does not exist in Spanish. Daniela is a Spanish word and Spanish name. So you don't write it this way. You see, a lot of people write it this way. They are wrong. So the best way to write is one L, which is Daniela. Excellent. Daniela is the right word. If you put Daniel double L, it becomes Eja, right? So that's anywhere you come across this double L, it means J sound is pronounced as J sound. M and N remains the same. Why here we have like a new sound. Okay, I'll give you some words that are close to that. Like what you have this expand, España. So here is the nya sound, España. So this is the nya. Okay, I give you another word when we're dealing with España. I give you mañana. Mañana simply means tomorrow. So if this means tomorrow, so this is our point of emphasis, which is on the new sound. Excellent. All these ones remain the same, except V, which V does not exist. And we'll say that V means is pronounced as B in Spanish. Why B is actually pronounced as B. The only one, the B is to colonize V. So you don't pronounce V in Spanish. Anywhere you see V, pronounce it as B. That's the one. Okay, we have this math Y. Y. This is how we spell. Y. Y. Okay, Y. Okay. Now the Y you see here, mm, you don't, you can as well throw away the word, the name Y because you don't apply it anywhere. So when you see Y on its own, it has a sound. Sometimes certain countries in the Latin America pronounce it as J. Pronounce it as J. They can you can replace it as double L. So the two have the same. For example, you have this word, Ayuda. Ayuda simply means help, right? This simply means help. So you see some country call it ayuda. Some people call it ayuda. Some people call it ajuda. For me, I prefer to call it ajuda. So this is what we are talking about here. It has only this sound. You can call it any of these. But when you call it Ajuda, you are right. And you call it Ayuda, you also right. Okay, you will see a lot of countries in the Latin America use Ayuda, Ajuda. Whichever way you call it, you are not wrong. You are right. So you can either use Ajuda, you can also use. I think basically I will now have. Okay, one more thing on that. So when it starts on its own, now when you see sometimes you see in the midst of word, for example, I use it here. Okay, Juan, you already know. Okay, Juan. Mm, okay, let me use the word Pedro. You know Pedro means Peter, right? So Juan, this is how it's pronounced here. It's no longer pronounced as Y. It's pronounced as E. Now what does that mean? It means John and Peter. Simple. So when Y on you see Y stand out in any part in any sentence means and. So this is actually means and in English. And so in how do you pronounce and in Spanish? E. So you have Juan y Pedro. Basically, this is just the difference when it has to do with the Spanish alphabet. With this, we are ready to dig deep into Spanish language. Follow us. You will be able, just in a while, you will become a perfect Spanish speaking person. Thank you for your time. And this is me, your professor the mejor, Professor Joseph.